Abraham. Say hi to Esther for me. This is my second visit. We spoke in Dallas last November, and I told you I was coming. So I'm here. This is my new family right there, front row. I've been practicing to come early. I do come early, but I could never get into the front row. I'm always up on it. So today I said, anything that I'm going to do.
So you focused your intention into a stronger place and somehow managed to stop resisting, and here you are.
Yes. But I think I was worried about other stuff.
So get to it. See that clock? It's running.
Yes. So here I am. Thank you so much. I have a beautiful life.
Yes.
And it's something that I think I decided long ago when I was younger. And at this point, everything is falling into place, good or bad or indifference.
Fallen into place according to law of attraction.
Exactly.
And the habits of thought that I am consistently offering.
Exactly.
Well said.
Thank you. So today I practice worthiness, because that's what we talked about in November, getting my vibration a consistent place where I will hold it when I am talking to somebody else.
And why do you want to do that?
Because it makes me feel good.
Yes. That's the reason. There are all kinds of other benefits, but that's the one. That's the one. Because that one comes immediately, that's evidence of alignment, and all kinds of other good things will follow.
Yes. And I told them, this moment was the best day ever in my life, because the fun was enormous.
Yeah.
So I've been manifesting so many great things.
Yeah.
But what I have found myself at this time in my life is how to let the cash flow in, like physical cash.
Well, that's the reason that we asked you why. And you said because it feels good. Because, you see, the benefit of the thing that you're most looking for, the benefit of it being the way you feel, is because you can find that no matter what. But if you then are taking score about the cash flow, which you can't control, then you've lost your connection. And so that's why you just got to keep doing it for the fun, and the money will follow.
Okay. When I do it for fun, it's instant manifestation, which I don't want to call it scary.
In the subject of thoughts turning to things, would you say that the emotion is instant manifestation? It isn't often, because sometimes the manifestation is of an emotion that does not feel so good. And sometimes the emotion is of a manifestation that does feel good. It takes some calibrating and some deliberate intent, some focusing, to focus yourself into feeling good. But once you've decided to do that, and once you've shown yourself that you are good at that, and once you are so good at it that you are consistent in it, that's what we call step 4, being in the state of allowing in a really consistent way, then all the other things begin to fall into place for you. You cannot have one other ulterior motive. You cannot want to do this because of this outcome, or want to do this because it makes this person happy, or do this because it gets you this attention, or do this because it puts this money in your bank account. You can't let any other thing be the reason that you want to do it without sort of shooting yourself in the foot, because those manifestations are further down the trail. And so when those are of primary importance, and so you do this and do this and do this, and then you look and those manifestations haven't happened yet, then right away you focus upon the absence of what you want, and then you lose your connection. So what you're looking for is consistent alignment. Consistent enough alignment that there's enough juice in the pipeline to give you the manifestation that you want.
Okay. Can source or the universe surprise me in such a way that when the manifestation comes, for example...
Yes, of course, but there's an ulterior motive in your question. It's like saying, can you tell me what the surprise is going to be, and then I'll use that as the condition. And we say, let the emotion be enough. Let the feeling of connection be what matters most to you. And once you've turned that corner so that you really mean that, then what happens is you're consistently standing in that place of pure positive energy, and then the manifestations must follow. They just have to. They
Okay,
just have
so
to.
my question was, this Christmas I got very beautiful Mercedes-Benz, brand new, 4x4. I had nothing to do with it. It showed up with a Red Bull. But then I'm like, universe, I've been working on cash flow, so this is what I'm asking. So my inner being is telling me that, oh, I needed a car, but not the cash. It's a serious question, because I don't want to go sell the car for the money.
Well, just know that whatever comes to you comes because of what's in your vibration. And so, is it possible that you want the show of abundance, but you don't want the cash? Is it possible that you're worried that once you get the cash, that other people will be wanting the cash from you? Did you want it to be ungettable? Did you want your goat to be ungettable? You can have it all. You don't have to have only one thing. You can have it all. You can have it all. The universe isn't saying, let's see, she wants this much, and so let's deliver it to her in this way. You have contoured all of that. Everything that comes to you is a vibrational match to what's in your vortex and your relationship with your vortex. We can feel within some of you, and it's really worth talking about because it happens and it is not to your advantage when it happens. But if you can, just for a little while, if you can step into this place where you have decided that you are going to trust the process, if you can step into this place where you've decided that things are working out for you, and you will not question it and challenge it with nitpicking questions that are not significant to the whole of the well-being that's coming to you, what will begin to happen to you is that the abundance will show up in so many facets and in so many different ways that you won't be having these conversations about why that and not that and why that and not that. The universe has the ability to deliver to you simultaneously on many subjects. The universe has the ability to deliver to you fully all things that you want. But do you have the capacity to receive it? What we're saying to you is the revelations are happening. The revealing is happening, but the receiving is your job. And so if you're receiving a little bit of it, that's good, but you could receive so much more. Isn't it logical that as you receive something, regardless of what it is, and you feel thankful for having received it, meaning you line up and feel the way your inner being feels about it, isn't it then logical that you would be in the perfect receiving mode for the next and 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 the next?
Yes.
Some way that you can allow rather than disallow, that you can believe rather than doubt, that you can
Not feel guilty.
Yeah, feeling guilty is a long way from alignment. Feeling guilty will cause your abundance to come in the weirdest ways. But feeling blessed, and you must be feeling sort of kind of blessed or it wouldn't be coming like it is, but you know what it is? We're right back to something that we keep talking about, and that is your relationship with other people is the reason that you feel guilty. And let's give some of the credit to them about that because they're observing you and they're having knee-jerk responses to how you're living and what you're getting. And they're often in their shortage consciousness taking score. Why are you getting that? Why am I not getting that? But if that's what they're feeling and you haven't tuned up before you went over there, then they own the room. Then they're attracting from you rather than you attracting from them. Who's going to own the room? Are you going to tune in so you have true power to uplift and true power to inspire? Or are you going to be sloppy in your thinking and walk in and worry about how people feel about things and then observe them feeling the way they feel about it and then resent feeling guilty because of their lack of ability to feel abundance? You got to own the room. You got to understand how they feel. It's all right that they feel that way. That's what their life is showing them so far. But it's temporary. It's not even real. It's old news. They've got a vortex. They've got a vortex like you do. And the abundance is ripe and ready for them. And it's being revealed to them too. And you want to, through your ability to receive for yourself, Teach through the clarity of your example. You can't deprive yourself and teach anyone else abundance. You can't feel guilty and therefore pinch yourself off from the well-being that is showering down around you and do any good for anyone. You've got to embrace your own fantastic, dynamic, ever-changing receiving of well-being. You have to get glimpses into your vortex. You have to let yourself feel about you like your inner being feels. You have to come to know yourself as your inner being knows you. You can't let those who didn't know who they are teach you who you are. You can't let those who have deprived themselves of love teach you what love is when they don't have it in their heart. You can't allow people who are confused and afraid set the standard of how you feel about life or how you behave in your life. You have to tune into the wholeness of who you are. You have to discover your stability. You have to know who you are. You have to be tuned in, tapped in, turned on, and you have to let the whole of you be present in as many moments as you can. And you have to do it because it feels good to do it, not because it will change them. Because if you do it because it will change them, and you look, not changed, they're not changed yet. Now your attention upon them not having been changed puts you in your place of no power, and then they own the room again. Who sets the tone around you? You do. Who sets the tone for you even before you allow yourself to receive it? Your inner being does. Your inner being sets the tone. Your inner being knows your value, your worthiness, your blessedness, and knows everything that you've asked for, and agrees wholeheartedly with the rightness that you receive it, you see. We have not interacted with one with a sometimes purer heart than you have. We've also not interacted with anybody who's felt more guilty than you have, because those around you have done a number on you, and they didn't mean to do it. Nobody said, let's lurk around the planet and make people feel inferior. Nobody's saying that. But people who feel inferior lurk around the planet and make people feel inferior. Those who are poverty consciousness lurk around the planet and spread the virus of not enoughness, you see. You just got to decide who you are. And it's not hard to do, because your inner being is reminding you on a steady, continual basis. Your inner being never takes lunch. Your inner being's never out to lunch. Your inner being is never away on vacation. Your inner being is never distracted by something else. Your inner being is always focused upon you with undivided attention and authority and knowledge of your well-being and worthiness. It's a good time to acknowledge that, to walk around in this world knowing that things are working out for you and everyone else, but things are working out for you. And here's something that will help your guilt subside almost immediately. You are you, and your inner being is you, and we are your inner being, and we are you, and you are them, and we are. It's we, it's our point of attraction, it's us. So when you, us, we allow prosperity to flow into your experience, you, we, us are allowing it to flow to them as well. In other words, you cannot thrive without assisting others. It cannot be. You're not selfishly depriving someone else of something when you allow it for yourself. When you allow it for yourself, you are attracting it. We, us, we, ours. Well-being is ours. Source energy demands that it is so. As life comes to you, it produces within you desires that are beyond what you currently are experiencing. And so there is always this place that you would call forward or future from your current manifestations. We would call it present, because in the moment that you launch the desire, it becomes a reality unto itself that has attraction properties. And your inner being stands in that, what you want to call forward place, where your inner being wants to call present place. And so really, the secret to living happily ever after, or living happily in this moment. The key to having this moment be a happy moment, the key to that is knowing how to manage that gap between what you've just launched and what you still believe. Because your life causes you to desire more than what is. It happens all day, every day. But your now reality, which you mostly examine through your physical senses, causes you to hold tight to what is while you are reaching for more. Now that's uncomfortable. You call that yearning. Sometimes you call it desire. But a desire that is pure doesn't feel uncomfortable. Meaning a desire that you're not resisting. A desire that is not contradicted by habit of thought, which is what a belief is. A purely non-resisted, non-contradicted desire is bliss. And it is powerful. The power of a non-resisted desire. The power of a pure thought. That's what Source offers. That's why Source creates worlds. That's why Earth spins in its orbit in perfect proximity to other planets. Those thoughts thought by non-physical beings are non-resisted. They are not doubted. If it were up to humans to keep your Earth spinning in its orbit, you'd have forums on how it's not likely to last. How lucky you've been that it's gone this good this far. And who's responsible for the certain doom. But the non-physical part of you, that non-physical energy that we call non-physical, sometimes you call it God, we call it Source. This non-physical energy is not doubtful. It's not hateful. It's not vulnerable. It just knows. And in that absoluteness of that knowing, which just means in that non-contradictedness of that knowing, there is power that you haven't tasted yet to your full capacity. It's like the difference between non-resistive thought as compared to resistive thought, meaning a pure desire as compared to a desire that you want but you don't believe. Pure thought is equivalent to an atomic bomb, and normal human thought is equivalent to a firecracker. You just can't quite feel the power of the non-resistant thought, and yet every now and again you find a little piece of it, and you feel the energy of it, the euphoria of it, the bliss of it, the power of it. But for most humans, it doesn't last very long because you've trained yourself and been trained by others to be so very objective, so very balanced. Let's weigh the pros and the cons and the pluses and the minuses. Let's think about what we want, but let's look at the downside of it too. And we say, don't do that. Don't contradict your thought for the sake of pleasing others who don't know better. Find something that you want and focus on it unequivocally. And as you look around at others like you who are creating their own reality, and you see someone who is particularly, apparently, masterful at it, in that they've accomplished a lot, they are masters in their art, or masters in their science, or blissful in their world. And as you get up close enough that you get to hear them or know them, you will notice these things about them. They speak of what they want, but they don't talk against it. They don't talk against their own desires. Jerry wrote a paper, Esther's Jerry, dearly departed. Dearly not departed, but partly departed. Part of him departed, most of him still here. It's hard to explain. He croaked. He wrote a paper some years ago entitled, Keep Your Ideas to Yourself Until They Are Fully Developed. Because he watched so many people who he was counseling in financial matters who would have a desire and they would speak it to those around them who didn't believe in them, who didn't believe in success at all, perhaps. But people are so quick to warn each other about pitfalls, and that's contradicted thought. People are so quick to look for the downside of things. That's contradicted thought. But the difference that we want you to know and feel by the time you walk out of this room today is that the only difference worth really noting between you and your inner being, who is non-physically focused, is that your inner being never speaks against you or against your ideas of desire. And when you do, you cause a kind of separation. There's no possibility of separation, but you pinch yourself off from the fullness of who you are. And that pinched off state of being feels to you like negative emotion. Your emotions are your indicator of how in alignment you are, how fully and wholly you are, or how you are contradicting your own desire. Have you ever had an experience with another human? Usually they're related to you in some way, or married to you, or working with you, or living next door, or complete strangers. And you are having a conversation with them about something that you believe deeply in. And they believe deeply in it too, they just don't agree with you. And so you explain your perspective, which just makes them come on stronger with theirs. And then they explain their perspective, which just makes you come on stronger with yours. And so you've got this sort of tug of war going, and rarely is there any consensus that is formed under those conditions, because you just dig in a protective state to defend your position. Have you ever had that experience? Children? What we want you to realize is that those two perspectives are present within you, singularly, individually, you, every day, when you have a desire that you don't believe. I want more money, but I've never had enough money. I don't know anybody that really has enough money. My parents didn't have enough money. And while that is factually accurate, it doesn't need to remain that way, but the reason it does remain that way is because when you keep that vibration active as a belief, then your desire can't get far out ahead of it. And this is the thing, this is the premise that we want you to begin with today. We want you to listen to what we say next and try to get your thoughts around this, because as you accept this progression of your evolution, as you hear this simple premise that we're going to put forward right here, everything else will be easy for you from now on as you are creating your own reality. So here's the premise. You came from non-physical, but not all of you came. And in this physical body, you have a role to play in the co-creation between you and your non-physical counterpart. You said, I'll be on the leading, not bleeding, leading edge. I'll explore contrast, and I will come to my own personal conclusions of what I would prefer beyond what is. And your inner being said, and when you do that, we will accept from you the essence of what you are asking for, and we will hold it in a non-resistant state while you find a way of bringing your beliefs to match it. In other words, if you lived in a time and a space where there was not enough food, and starvation is what was happening all around you, and your desire for abundance of food, not just for your belly, but for the bellies of those you love, for the bellies of those that you don't even know, you and however many of you that are having the experience, usually millions, are launching rockets of desires, and all of your inner beings are receiving those requests and holding purely that thought of abundance of food. But the reality of your starvation in your human form keeps you from believing that, keeps you from accepting that, because what is so powerfully witnessed by you. And you would feel like a fool to pretend abundance when it isn't evident around you. And so your now reality keeps you in starvation mode, starvation of relationships, or starvation of clarity, starvation of abundance of all manner, because what is, in terms of what you're seeing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, feels so real to you. And we want you to accept that while that is a reality, there is a vibrational reality that is the beginning of all things that are coming. And so these are the words that we want you to capture here, that we want you to focus with us upon. Get out ahead of it. Get out ahead of it. Now, what do we mean by that? So, you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. Your desire got out ahead of your belief. It got out ahead of it. In fact, it got so out ahead of it, atomic bomb compared to firecracker kind of ratio. It got so far out ahead of it that source and that which you call God and all manner of that which is goodness, all non-physical, is focused with you on your new, out ahead of it desire. Out ahead of it. Now, you could translate that literally, out ahead of it, meaning it hasn't manifested yet. Like the seed in the ground is out ahead of the corn stalk that will grow and the ear of corn that will grow. In other words, the potential is out ahead of the reality. You get what we're talking about? But if the farmer didn't believe in the process of the seed becoming the ear of corn, then he would never plant the seed. And so often, humans don't plant the seed because they want the corn to show up right now. Now, we know you get that in terms of corn. But we want you to get that in terms of everything. We want you to realize that when you launch a rocket of desire, that's a seed that is germinating in this vibrational reality and being tended by the gardener of all gardeners, that which is source energy in your inner being, and it will become that which you want it to be, but you will not witness it if you are contrary to your own desire. You see what we are getting at? You've got to find a way to believe in your own desire. You've got to believe in your own desire, which means you've got to understand the process. You've got to understand that there is a vibration that is becoming a thought, and a thought that is becoming an impulse, and an impulse that is becoming a manifestation. In fact, let's call the thought a manifestation too, and let's call the impulse a manifestation too. In other words, let's start watching for the evidence of your desires turning to things that you can witness, rather than needing the thing to be there first so that you can then believe in it. Humans say, well, I'll believe it when I see it. And we say, you got to believe it before you see it, or you can't see it. But what trips you up is that there are other things that you can see that have been created by others, or that were here when you got here, or that are easier for you to believe, so you don't quite make the equation that you as a creator, as a master of creation, have some mastery to accomplish, and you can't be lazy about it. You got to pay attention to what you're doing vibrationally. You can't just complacently move along through life. Observing what you want, that's a good thing because you create more of that, but when you observe what you don't want, not so good because you create more of that. Because this is a universe based upon attraction. There's no exclusion in this universe. So when you see something that you want and you say yes to it, you're saying yes to something that you want, and there's a very good chance that you are non-resistant to that, and so it will flow easily, usually quickly into your experience. But when you see what you don't want and you shout no at it, you're really saying yes to the thing that you do not want. So you're saying yes to not enough money at the same time you're saying I want more money. I want more money, and yes, I want not enough money. And you want to say, no, I'm not. I'm saying yes to money and no to not enough. And we say, no, you're not. You're saying yes to money and yes to not enough money. You've got a tug of war going on inside of you. Because in this universe that is vibrational, it's not verbal. Strange we verbal so much. This is not a verbal universe. This is a vibrational universe. And so you are speaking a vibrational language, and in many cases you are misusing it because you don't realize that you're speaking a vibrational language. Today we want to talk with you about how to allow the things you want. And we're going to be talking about the laws of the universe. You are aware of them. You've been listening to us for a little while. You know about the powerful law of attraction. Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? Do you? And do you know that law of attraction is managing the vibrational frequencies of the universe? And do you know that you are a vibrational being, first and foremost, so you're always transmitting a signal? And whatever you are giving your attention to is causing you to transmit that signal. So law of attraction is matching the signal that you're transmitting, not yesterday and not tomorrow, but now, matching your now signal, So what do you do about your now signal? How do you prepare your now signal? How do you approach this world? Here you are in your flesh, blood, and bony bodies, mostly not even recognizing the fact that you are vibrational beings, that you are transmitting and receiving mechanisms in a universe that's managed by law of attraction, who is managing all of those transmissions. So, do you like knowing that you are vibrational? And do you like knowing that there's a way to know what your vibrational output is? Your emotions tell you, don't they? Your emotions let you know whether in this moment what you're broadcasting with your mind, with your thoughts, with your words, what you're broadcasting, whether or not it matches who you really are and all that you've come to. We've been talking to you for a while, and we've offered a whole lot of ways of helping you to reorient yourself. Reorient yourself into the realization, to the remembering that you're vibrational beings. Because when you remember that, and when you get a handle on what you're broadcasting, and then when you practice what you're broadcasting consistently, so that you get a vibrational rhythm going, law of attraction will make it easy for you to keep whatever momentum you've got going. In other words, if you're noticing something, you offer in a vibration that matches it. And since you're now offering a vibration that matches it, you're going to realize it more, because what you're offering vibrationally and what you are now realizing is going to come back to you more and more and more. Sometimes our physical friends say, but wait, couldn't someone just change what I'm observing so that when I observe something that's really good, I will offer a signal that is really good, and in offering that signal that's really good, then I'll get more of what's really good. And we say, it does work like that. But there's a faster way of going about this, and a way that will always work for you. And that is, if you will decide that you don't need to wait for something good to observe before you broadcast a signal that matches something that you consider to be good, then you're going to tune your frequency so that only things that would qualify in the category of what you consider to be good can be realized by you. What do you think about that word, realized? Realized. Not so much, huh? Well, we really like it. We really like it. So we're going to give you just a very brief explanation of who you are and who we are and how we all fit into this together. And then we're eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. Don't worry about us. We will wedge our message in the crack. So you are vibrational beings, and you are source energy beings, and you were source energy before you came into this body, and even though you are now in this body, you are still source energy. In fact, you are still more non-physically source energy, vibrational beings than you are this flesh, blood, and bone version that you think of mostly as you. So here you are in your physical body, a part of all that you are is focused here. And as you explore the variety, just as you knew you would, in this magnificent leading edge environment, which is the leading edge of all creation, as you explore it from your personal point of view, you come to personal awarenesses and decisions of what you would prefer, how this can be better, how this can be better, the improvement in that, the improvement in that. By sifting through life, just like you planned, you know what you don't want, which causes you to know what you do want. So you are emanating signals of desire all day, every day. They are shooting out of you as vibrational offerings. We like to call them rockets of desire, because you can't help but produce them, because life causes you to focus them into being. So you launch a rocket. Maybe you don't have enough money, and so you launch a rocket, and then another, and another, and another, and another. I want more money. I want more money. I want more prosperity. I want more freedom to do as I want to do. You're launching that rocket over and over and over and over. And every time you do, that vibrational rocket, that vibrational intention, that vibrational becoming is received by that non-physical part of you. That non-physical part of you, we are gesturing like this because that non-physical part of you immediately becomes the vibrational equivalent of your desire. More prosperity now that you have just asked. more vibrational awareness and ability to be more prosperous than ever before, just now. So that vibrational version of you, we are doing this gesture because we are wanting to imitate your vortex of creation. This vibrational version of you, which precedes all manifested versions, this vibrational version of you has just become more prosperous. But the question that this gathering really wants to present to you in a way that you will ponder and come to conclusions about is that while the non-physical part of you has become more prosperous as a result of your asking, what are you doing in relationship to it right here and now? And for the most part, when you launch a rocket of desire, it's from an awareness of the contrast. So you are most likely more aware of what you don't want than of what you do want, even though what you do want has just become focused upon by the source within you. It's more powerful now than it has ever been before. Now you can tell by the way you feel whether your focused thought in this moment matches that one. If it does, you feel elation, you feel excitement, you feel eagerness, you feel vibrationally up to speed with who you have really become. But if you're pensive, if you are fearful, if you are worried, if you are ornery, if you are unhappy, if you are feeling negative emotions, those negative emotions, in fact all emotions, are your indicator of how matched you are to who you really are or how mismatched. Whether you are allowing your connection, allowing yourself to be the realizer of what you're asking for, or whether you're on some frequency that is preventing your full view of it. Because it's not that someone else is ever withholding anything from you, but you may very well be vibrationally mismatched so that you are not seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. You're missing the clues because you're vibrationally out of whack with what you set into motion, with what you ask for, you see. So we've been calling this gathering for a while the art of allowing, and it really is an art that you will nurture. It's the art of getting up to speed with who I just became. Life just caused me to become more, but if life has just caused me to become more and I'm beating the drum of my justification of why I need that or want that, I want that because I want it because I don't have it. We're beating the drum. I want that because I don't have it. I want that because I think I should have it. That person has it, and that person has it, and that person has it, and that person has it. Why don't I have it? And in that question of what's missing, you are fostering, encouraging, continuing to practice a vibrational frequency that prevents you from realizing what you're asking for. So in order to make this really clear for you, in order to make this so that you can really understand how it works, because we know in your ability to translate vibration, you are so good at it. You are seeing and you are hearing and you are smelling and you are tasting and you are touching. You are so good at translating vibration, you don't even know that you are doing it. You're so good at translating the vibration of this universe into something that you can realize that you don't recognize that you are doing that. So we are presenting to you some explanations of how these laws work in order to help you understand where if we were standing in your physical shoes, we would put our emphasis on this eternal path of never-ending expansion. And from our point of view, this eternal path of never-ending joyous expansion is supposed to be fun. It is supposed to be fun. It is supposed to feel good. It is supposed to fulfill you every step of the way. And if there is anything less than that happening, then you're pinching yourself off unnecessarily. So the contrast causes you to ask, and it becomes a vibrational reality immediately. And our physical friends say, well, that's very nice for someone, that it is now a vibrational reality. But I want that vibrational reality to become more. I want to realize it fully. I want to be able to see it and hear it and smell it and taste it and touch it. I'm happy that you're happy, Abraham, that there's a vibrational reality. But I want that vibrational reality to be more. I want the money in my bank and the lover in my bed. I want more. I want more than this vibrational reality. And we say, then all you have to do is tune yourself to the frequency of your vortex. And it's not something that you will do instantaneously. In almost every case, it is something that you do gradually. But in every case, it is absolutely something that you can do. So if you've been listening to us for a while, you've heard us go on and on about law of attraction to the point that you're sort of tired of hearing about it. But it doesn't slow us down. matters so much. And if you've been listening to us for a while, you've been hearing us talking about the vortex and how it is vibrating at a very high frequency, and that it would be really good for you, good feeling for you, and good results for you if you could gradually and consistently raise your vibration to the frequency of what's in your vortex. Because when you're up to speed with all that you've become, you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, you feel wonderful, things go well for you, you have good timing, you have good flexibility, life is sweet for you, and those around you benefit just being near you. So if you've been listening to us for a while, you know about this vortex stuff. But today we want to talk to you about what happens once you have launched a rocket, once we've gotten hold of it, once source energy, the likes of us, has focused upon it and brought it into a vibrational reality that is ready to manifest, ready to be realized, ready for you to actualize it into your experience, ready for you to make it the reality that you want to claim out here on this leading edge, this furthest, most expanded part of the universe where everything that is wonderful must manifest if you will only allow it in your experience. So what's the next step? Well, the next step is recognizing that while you sifted through the contrast, and while you launched the rocket, and while the rocket went where it's supposed to be, and while Source took hold of it, and while all of the cooperative components have been assembled, and while it's ready to pop into your experience, you, the creator of this wonderful thing that you put into the vortex, it's ready to pop into your experience, but you have to prepare yourself vibrationally for the revelation of it, for the realization of it. And in order to explain that in a way that you can really hear it, we're saying, so here's your vortex at this very high frequency. Imagine a cork bobbing on the surface of the water, up there where the pure vibration is. You can hold that cork under the water. You can. But when you let go of it, it's going to bob right back up there. So when you stop doing those things you do that hold your cork under the water, you'll bob right back up, and you'll be a vibrational match to that which you want. Happens every night when you sleep for a moment. It bobs up, and you grab hold of it and drag it right back down usually, as you remember yesterday. So your cork is bobbing on the surface. And when your cork is bobbing on the surface, when what you are thinking about in this moment, when what you are giving your attention to is absent of resistance, when you're not doing that thing you do that makes you feel uneasy, when you're not introducing into your vibrational frequency unwanted things. Better said, when you are in a place of allowing, when you've been meditating, when you've been praising, when you've been appreciating, when you're tuned in, tapped in, turned on, when you are in love, when you are in that high-flying, good-feeling place, when your emotions are telling you how good you are feeling, then you are a perfect vibrational match to what's in your vortex. And what's in your vortex then, through the path of least resistance, can flow easily into your experience. But the realization of it is yours. We call that your grid filling in. Humans often call it, it's when inspiration comes. It's when you just have that feeling about something. So the grid fills in all kinds of wonderful ways. The first evidence that you're up to speed and your grid is filling in with the contents of your vortex is you just feel wonderful. You feel good. You feel elation. You feel clear-minded. You feel inspired. An idea will flow in, and when the idea comes, you'll know it's a good one. You'll know it's a good idea. It's the grid filling in. Sometimes you want the grid to fill in, boom, you just want it right there where you can observe it. And we say, if you'll be patient and allow this natural evolution of the grid filling in, then you'll get in sync with the rhythm of life that you intended when you came forth into this physical body to begin with. Not one of you said, I'll go forth and I would like just think of something and I would like it to manifest, and then I will just observe that good thing, and then I'll think about that, and then other good things will come. And we say, if you were operating under those very speedy conditions, this seminar would be about de-manifestation. Good afternoon. We are extremely pleased that you are here. It is good to come together for the purpose of co-creating. Do you agree? This is co-creating at its best. You will feel it as we move along through the days that we are together. Because who you are is always expanding and evolving and changing. But these days on these seas will surprise and delight you in new ways. New environments give you new perspective. And new perspectives cause new desires, because new perspectives almost always contain new contrast. So as new desires happen within you, and your vibrational reality expands as a result of it, your asking expands as a result of it, your summoning of answers and solutions happens. And then, when you are in the receiving mode, then you get to feel the expansion actually happening within your being. It's a visceral experience. It's a feeling experience as new energies move through you in new ways because you've asked new questions and you found a new level of letting it in. And as a result, you're going to feel real good. And as another result, you will feel the momentum of your experience picking up. And as another result, you will see manifestations, some of them that may have felt log-jammed or stifled or slowed down, will begin to pick up speed, and you will be a physical witness to your own deliberate creating. And there is not anything that is better than that. You are source energy beings in these magnificent bodies, but you usually don't know that you are. And you usually don't act like you are. You usually behave like humans, thinking that you are cut off from that source when you are not. Sometimes thinking that source is not hearing you when it always is. And so, as we are moving forward in these hours and days that we will share together, it is our expectation that you will find a new level of appreciating yourself, that you will come to realize the perfection, not the finished perfection, but the current perfection of who you are. You're going to discover a way to more effectively and more consciously strike a balance between who you are in your physical body and who you are as non-physical energies, because you are both, you see, you know? You are both. You are an extension of source energy. But you are not an extension that is separated from that source energy. You are an extension of that source energy. And that source energy is flowing to you and through you. It is a part of you. So you, pioneers that you are, out here on this leading edge, you are exploring and examining and coming to new understandings of what you personally desire, just like you knew you would. As that desire hatches within you, you begin a whole new summoning process, because, after all, you live in a universe that is based upon attraction. And so, as you find something new that you are asking for, you begin a summoning process that feels different to you. And it feels different to you depending upon what your belief factor is in relationship to what you are newly summoning. Once you get practiced at this, and once you understand that you can be or do or have anything that you desire, then when you summon, you automatically allow, because your belief is right there. You know who you are, and you expect good things to come, and you know the power of your own mind, and you know the laws of the universe, and you expect source energy to reply to you, and you expect, through your own power of attraction, you expect to get the things that you are asking for. And in an environment like this, where there is so much that puts you in a place of ease and feeling good, not everything, you'll still have contrast. In fact, in some cases, maybe even more contrast, because it is new to you. But as you settle in to realizing that all things wanted are being answered, and you stand more and more in an expectation of witnessing the evolution of your desire. Oh, those are really good words that Esther found in response to our vibrational offering. You will witness the evolution of your own desire. And it's so important that you understand that when you ask, it is given. But there is a balancing act that you are accomplishing, because it's not just asking with words, and it's not just asking with life experience. It's contouring your expectation so that you let what you have asked for in, which means so that you find yourself in a place where you are perceptually aware of what's going on around you, but even more, you are viscerally aware of what you are doing vibrationally. You figured out, and we'll talk about it, how to balance the energy between your desire and your belief. Because if you desire something that you doubt, there's no balancing going on. If you desire something that you are annoyed because it has not yet come, there's no balance in your vibration. And so the attraction that you are about is a lopsided, not working very well for you attraction, because only half of it is there. You want it, but you don't believe it. So if you want something and you don't believe, you're calling it and pushing it away at the same time. That's what causes stress and tension. That's what every negative emotion is about. In these days that we are together, it is our desire that you figure out, and we'll talk until you do, that you figure out how to balance your desire and your belief so that you come to expectation of what you are asking for, so that you come to realize consciously that you are a powerful creator here with magnificent intent and purpose, with so many resources at your fingertips and so much non-physical assistance flowing to you. Sometimes it's like you have your shield up, a sort of umbrella of sorts that is keeping you from receiving the very thing that you're asking for. Sometimes you think that when you've asked for it, that it should just drop right into your experience. I want it, boom, there it is. And we say, not as much fun in that as you think. You just think that there is fun in that because you have been annoyed at the long lag time between asking and receiving. But you do not have to develop patience once you get the hang of this. Instead, you will find yourself enjoying the unfolding of your desire. You'll find yourself enjoying witnessing your receptivity, witnessing your receiving the thought, witnessing receiving an impulse, witnessing being wise enough to follow that impulse, and then witnessing a positive result of following that impulse. You're going to feel like you have your own hands in your own clay, because you do. But you're going to be pleased with what you are molding. You're going to be pleased, yes, with the outcome. Yes, with the physical manifestation. Yes, that is sure to come. We're not trying to talk you out of your physical manifestations, but we want to talk you into a happy journey along the way. We want you to feel the exhilaration of being ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready, to be ready. And we want you to revel in your newfound everyday capacity to be ready for more. We want you to realize that anything you desire is already coming to you. Attraction is what this is all about. Attraction, there is no assertion. But you see, a really wonderful thing is happening for you. A really, really, really wonderful thing is happening for you. Such a wonderful thing is happening for you. Because you are here in these bodies, but you're not here only as you, as your human self. Your inner being, your source energy is here with you, flowing to you and through you, and is a big part. We want you to hear this. We've not said this to you before, but it's time for you to know this, to understand this, and to expect good things as a result of your knowing of it. Your inner being has a point of attraction too. Your inner being has a point of attraction too. And while your inner being cannot throw something to you, your inner being cannot assert something into your experience, when you ask for it, your inner being, who is a part of you, can hold the knowing of what you're asking for in such clear awareness that your point of attraction becomes more vivid and more powerful because you have asked. Do you get that? Did you hear what we just said? So now what that means is, now that you've asked and your inner being is holding vibrational awareness of what you want, and law of attraction is responding to the attraction that your inner being has going on, now a really interesting thing is happening to you. Because you're summoning, and your inner being is summoning too, but you have your own free will of your own free thoughts, and you can think thoughts that block that if you choose to. Now, most of you would say, I would never do that, even though you do it every day, because every subject is really two subjects. And sometimes you think you're thinking about the money that you desire when you're focused upon not enough of it. Or you think about the lover that you are summoning, but you're focused upon the absence of that lover. In other words, sometimes you are thinking thoughts, you, human adorable, human you, you're thinking thoughts that are vibrationally inconsistent or vibrationally resistant to what you have asked for and what is being summoned to you by that larger part of you. You understand that in a new way just now, don't you? Don't you? We can start over. So now your inner being is on the case. Now your inner being is holding vibrational accord with what you're asking for. And now your work is so simple. Your work is just to think thoughts that match the desire rather than its absence. To say words that match the desire rather than its absence. To tell the story of what you are creating rather than the story of the reason of why you are creating it. As you stand in justifications why you need that, you block it. And every time you block it, you ask for it in a stronger way. So the point of attraction of your inner being summons energy to it more, but if you block it, you feel worse and worse. And a sort of tension sets up within you that you describe as negative emotion. Negative emotion is your clue or your key that you are doing what we just described. Because it is always true. When you ask, it is always given. When you ask, it is always given. The question that we want you to discover the answer to in the days that we are together is that when you ask and it is given, what are you doing about it? Are you receiving it or are you blocking it with your awareness of the current reality that doesn't contain it? That's what trips you up the most, you know. You're focused upon what you think is what is. So if you ask for something that you think isn't, and your awareness is that it isn't rather than it is, as you focus upon the isn't-ness of what we know as the isness, then you block it. You don't let it come. And then you complain. This isn't working for me when it is. It always is. So, as a result of our time together, you'll do less of that from now on. It really helps to understand the laws of the universe. It really helps to know that law of attraction is responding to your thought. Law of attraction is responding to you. You get what you think about, whether you want it or not. You strike balance sometimes with things you don't even want, just by giving so much attention to them. So, as a result of our time together, you're going to be clearer about who you are. And as a result of every day's life adventure, you're going to become clearer about what you prefer. And as you integrate your knowledge of the laws of the universe with your personal desires that are born from your magnificent journey in this life experience, then the perfect co-creative experience ensues. And we are eager about what you're living. We are eager about what's coming to you and through you. We appreciate more than you can hear with these words your willingness to participate not just in this gathering, but in the gathering of life experience. Such a nice thing to be on the leading edge, where all that is flowing forward into new experience. We want you to feel all of us here with you. We've got you outnumbered. And we want you to relax in the knowledge that life is supposed to be good to you. Life is supposed to be fun for you. It'll be nice as you return moment by moment by moment, to your conscious awareness of your own worthiness. So, there are a few things that it is our desire to help you reconfirm within yourself today. First, it would be nice if you could accept the existence of this vortex of creation. And it would be even nicer if you could see it as we see it, as your present tense of creation. So that when your friend says to you, I don't see any improvement in your life, you can stand firmly inside your vortex of creation and say, that's because it's not visible to those who are outside the vortex. And they will say, have you seen a doctor lately? And you will say there are no doctors in the vortex of creation. When you let being in this vortex, when you let tuning yourself into the vibrational frequency of all that you are be your top priority, you get so much life back. Do you know how many arguments, how many words, how many efforts, how much action is necessary just to keep you alive and out of desperation when you're not in the vortex? In other words, it's a big effort to live this life when you're counting on your words and your action and your effort to make it happen. It's interesting. You could just have a conversation with one very well-meaning mother about her child that she adores more than life itself, and listen to all of the gyrations that she is going through in order to sort of kind of understand what's going on with her little boy and put it in the proper perspective, when really all she needs to do is step away from whatever's bothering him and away from whatever's bothering her and focus upon something that gives her access to the vortex, and from inside the vortex, everything's clear. You cannot lead from behind. And if you are not in the vortex, then you have nothing to give anyone. Sometimes people say, Abraham, it seems like you teach selfishness. And we say, we really, 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 really do. Because selfishness, let's define it. Selfishness means vibrational alignment with self. And in order to understand that, you got to know who self really is. Self is source. Self is pure positive energy. Self is worthy. Self is clear-minded. Self is healthy. Self is full of vitality. Self is eager about life. And when you are willing to be selfish, which means you are willing to mimic the vibration of self, which means you're willing to release the thoughts that hold you apart from that and practice the thoughts that cause you alignment with that, which simply means you're selfish enough to care how you feel. That's when they call it selfish. People say, oh, you're so selfish, you're pleasing you. And what they mean is, you should please me. You're selfish because you please you, and I'm not selfish because I think you should please me instead of you? There's some screwy reasoning going on. And every time it matters to you to please them instead of you, oh, it's such short-term gain. Such short-term gain. Because when you care about how someone else feels or how they are responding to you, so you behave in order to affect their response to you, you do them a very big disservice, because you teach them that through action and demand or cajole or control or power, that they can wrestle their life to the ground. And there's hardly going to be anybody as cooperative as you. Think about it. Have you ever had someone who was so cooperative they'd just do anything for you? And then they were the only one who would behave that way? So you just had that one friend? Often it was your mother. You weren't really ready for the world, were you? But when you show yourself that you have the power to come alignment, not just with who you were before you were born, but with all that you've become ever since. Not just with you and all you've become, but with Source itself. When you show yourself that by being selfish, which means by reaching for the best feeling thought you can find on whatever subject is active, when you care about being in the vortex, you care about being in concert with the energy that creates worlds. And one who's in the vortex, one who's in alignment with that energy, is more powerful than millions who are not. It's such an interesting thing to watch what goes on in your planet, because you are so good at step one. Most of you have made such a career out of step one. You sift through the data, and you know what you don't want, and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want, and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want, and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want, and you know what you do want, and you know what you don't want, and you know what you do want. And Source is over here, knowing what you want, being what you want, sending out a signal of what you want. Law of Attraction's over here, gathering what you want, gathering what you want, gathering what you want, gathering what you want. You're over here. That's creating by default. That's going where the wind blows. That's complaining about whatever they're complaining about and feeling about whatever's happening. But when you decide that you're going to take control of your relationship to who you really are, when you decide that you're going to tend to this gap between you, wherever you are on whatever subject you're experiencing, and who you really are and what you know about the same, now life is going to take a new form and shape for you. You're going to feel exhilarated. You're going to feel satisfaction. Those who are watching you will see you as someone who seems to create tremendously with ease. Those who are watching you, especially those who don't really understand the power of this vortex and the power of your deliberate alignment with it, they'll call you lucky. Many times they'll be jealous of you because they'll watch your fortunes amassed and your funds surround you, and they'll watch you in satisfying life experience. And when they say to you, what do you know that I don't know? The only thing that you can say to them that is of any real value to them is, I figured out my relationship with me, and I'm constantly aware of my vibrational relationship to who I really am and what I really want. And I guide every thought I can to mesh with the wholeness that I am. I've become a deliberate thinker. I no longer create by default. I think on purpose, I speak on purpose, I act on purpose, and I don't do any of it unless I'm in the vortex. What do you mean? What's a vortex? What do you mean? What is a vortex? A vortex is a vibrational state of being that is the precursor of all positive motion forward, of all that is. It's like